Welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news and update show. Lots to talk about in today's live stream. West Ham have called to inquire on both Xerxes and Kobbie Mainoo. Fabrizio Romano's given an update on the future of those two players. Manchester United really interested in Andrey Santos. Obviously, Elliot Anderson, Baleba and Wharton are the three main midfield targets, but we don't see them as realistic in January. United looking at Andrey Santos ahead of a January move, not getting loads of minutes at Chelsea. Juventus also interested in Chelsea now, worried of Manchester United's interest in Santos. Could it tempt him? Manchester United prepare January bid even being discussed. Angelo Stiller is another name on Manchester United's midfield list. Seny Lamons has come on and spoken about how different it is being a goalie in the Premier League compared to Belgium. Hoyland's release clause expected to be triggered soon. Amorim has implemented 2 new recruitment rules at Manchester United along with Jason Wilcox. We will talk about the latest on Elliot Anderson, and United are considering making a move for 19-year-old forward Rayan, who plays for Vasco da Gama. So a couple of stories to get about, a couple of things to get into. But guys, first of all, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good Friday. The weekend is very soon. And can we make it 4 wins in a row tomorrow? Win our game, hate watch on Chelsea, hate watch on Liverpool, bish, bash, bosh. That's what I want to see tomorrow. Anyway, let's dive into the stories. Let's dive into the news. But if you are new, feel free to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all the latest United news. I normally do a live stream 5 days a week at midday covering all the news. And then every evening I do a 10-minute roundup video. So you get all the news in 10 minutes if you can't watch half an hour long live shows. Baleba is still a target, but Baleba is very much a summer target. His price tag may also go down considering his poor form. I think United are going to see where Brighton stand at the end of the season with Baleba, but he keeps getting hooked. He's not playing very well this season, and United may move towards Elliot Anderson because he's having a better season. You know, if Baleba's playing badly because United have got in his head, does he have the mentality to play for Manchester United is the question. Cole Palmer says, leave Santos alone, not for sale. Chelsea don't want to sell him, but he's not getting crazy amounts of minutes, and United have strong interest in the player. So yeah, let's get this up on my screen here. Let's get these stories up and more. And also let me know what the stream quality is like, what the audio quality is like on that, because StreamYard has been glitching lately. So hopefully it doesn't impact the stream. So this was said by Fabrizio Romano. West Ham have called to inquire about Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Xerxes on a 6-month loan. However, Manchester United are not open to any negotiations at the moment. Ruben Amorim is insisting on keeping both players. Now, the big word there is any negotiations at the moment. At the moment. This could change come January. My honest opinion is Xerxes is going to go in January after AFCON. Xerxes is going to be allowed to go after AFCON unless there's any major injuries in attack. I think Mainoo will be forced to stay. The reason I think Mainoo will be forced to stay is because we've literally got Bruno, Casemiro, Agate, Mainoo. 4 players to cover 2 midfield spots, which is the bare minimum. 4 players to cover 2 midfield spots. I don't think Mainoo will go. Mainoo is second choice in both midfield spots. Whereas if you look at Xerxes, he's third choice at striker behind Sesko and Cunha. He's third choice at left 10 behind Cunha and Mount. And he's third choice at right 10 behind Mbeumo Ahmad. You could even argue Bruno could play further ahead. So Xerxes well and truly third choice at everything. I think Man United are going to let Xerxes go after AFCON unless there's some major injuries. I don't think Mainoo will be allowed to go. I don't think Xerxes will go to West Ham. I think he will go back to Italy, but we will have to wait and see. We are going to get into some of the Santos news now because there's a couple stories on Andrey Santos, and I want to get into some of the more recent ones, but I also want to talk about some other stories that I've come across in regards to Andrey Santos is obviously on Manchester United's list. We know that from very, very reliable sources. So we're going to talk about these stories on Santos here. Obviously, the first one is on my screen. Manchester United are interested in Andrey Santos and could present an offer to Chelsea in the coming months. Juventus also want him. Chelsea do not want to sell to a direct rival in the Premier League. So Chelsea are a little bit worried about United's interest in Santos. There's interest in Santos because he's not playing loads for Chelsea. He's definitely getting more minutes, but he's not playing loads for Chelsea, but he's a very good player. So there's a fear from Chelsea of could United try and change his mind? Because United could say, well, we're going to make you a regular starter. But at Chelsea, he's got Caicedo to compete with. And Caicedo is like top 3 midfielders in the world. So as good as Santos is, he's got Caicedo to compete with. He's got Lavia, if he stays fit, to compete with. And Enzo plays further up. So Juventus are looking at Santos like, this could be a player that we need. Man United are looking at Santos, and Santos will think in January, World Cup's coming up, could be getting some more minutes. La 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 la. We also know from Ben Jacobs that Manchester United are looking at Andrey Santos, and I will get into Ben Jacobs' comments in a second. But United could present an offer to Chelsea in the coming months. Man United could make a January move for Santos who's coming out of Italy. Could Manchester United's name be getting used for clicks? Yes. Could Manchester United's name be getting used to push Juventus to make a move? Yes. As of now, Chelsea do not want to sell Santos, and Santos is not actively pushing to leave. But Manchester United can unsettle the player. Juventus can unsettle the player. And we know with Chelsea, they often sell a lot of players in January because they cannot give them the minutes. João Felix and Cuckoo, for example, they were trying to offload in January of last year. So I look at it and I say, we like Santos. We know that from Ben Jacobs. We know that from many sources. There's now reports saying that we are ready to present a January offer for Santos and could present a January offer for Santos, could unsettle Santos. And Chelsea don't want to sell to United. Chelsea are a little bit nervy in that sense. So Santos is another young player. He could be loaned, I suppose. He could be. They don't want to sell to a rival, but willing to sell us Mount. Exactly. They don't want to sell. Well, but also with Mount, he had 1 year left in his contract and they needed the money. They don't want to sell to a rival. But all I'm going to say is we gave you Garnacho for 40 million. Give us Santos for 40 million. We sold to you, so you sell to us. You sell to Arsenal all the time. What about Lucien Gomez? Is he a possibility? Good defensive interception player. I do like what I've seen of Lucien Gomez, but I think United just don't think he's the level. But I think he could be the level. Rumours around Vinicius Jr. Manchester United have got absolutely no chance of getting Vinicius Jr. Even if there's rumours about it, it's not going to happen. I'll tell you that. Would like to see Obi back on the bench. Yeah, but he's young and he's doing well in the 21s. Maino should be starting. Yes and no. For me, Maino should be coming on ahead of Agate, but Casemiro has been really good lately, and Bruno is Bruno. There's a part of me that would like to see Bruno further up and Maino start, but I know what you mean. Ruben not dropping Casemiro Bruno duo. Not sure if it's worth to come to United. I think there could be an injury to Casemiro, and there could be an injury to Bruno. I think it's more that United would probably make a summer move. I think United are looking at midfield as summer move because Casemiro is set to go in the summer. Bruno could go in the summer. There's question marks on Mendy. There's question marks on Agate. I think Man United will be looking at the likes of Elliot Anderson, Stiller, Baleba, and Andrey Santos in the summer. But United could also be preparing an Andrey Santos move in, of course, January because he could be available. It was said by Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook this. Manchester United want to add 2 midfielders in 2026. Baleba, Anderson, Wharton, Gallagher, Stiller, and Andrey Santos are players that United have on their list for 2026, was said by Ben Jacobs. Ben Jacobs also said that Andrey Santos was actually brought up in the summer when United had discussions for Garnacho, but Chelsea did not want to sell. United inquired about having a swap deal between Santos and Garnacho in the summer, and that was also mentioned earlier. And Manchester United have looked at Santos and do have interest in the player and will continue to monitor him, was also confirmed by reliable sources. So United have interest in Santos. Chelsea don't want to sell but could sell. The player could be tempted. I think summer is still more likely, but it will be interesting to see what happens in January with Santos, and if United do make a bid, and if United do make an offer, because I'm a big fan of not Chelsea, I'm a big fan of Santos, and I would quite like the Chelsea player. I'm a Chelsea fan. If you want to swap with Maino, it'll be fine. I wouldn't swap Maino with Santos, but I think Ineos could, and that would be concerning in that sense. When do you think Amorim will give minutes to JJ Gabriel? Do you think he will be pressured in playing sooner than he wants? JJ Gabriel won't play till next season. I think there's some Premier League rules and regulations that means JJ Gabriel can't play this season, but he can play next season. I don't know how true that is. There's a feeling, Max Dowman was really spoken about last year. Max Dowman was really spoken about last year at Arsenal, but he didn't play and he didn't make his debut. And then he went on pre-season tour with the Arsenal lot and did well on tour and is now getting his Arsenal debut. JJ Gabriel is probably kind of the same in that sense of he's going to go on tour with Man United in the summer and maybe get his debut next season. That's sort of the plan with JJ Gabriel. It's get him on the tour, get him more involved. I'm probably going to do a TikTok video explaining the whole situation. But he's been in first team training. They're really impressed with him. He's tearing up the under-21s, but they're going to wait until next season. Shea Lacey is most likely to get an opportunity with the first team this season. Shea Lacey and Jack Fletcher are probably the two most likely to get opportunities with the first team, apart from some of the defensive-minded players. But Shea Lacey, if anyone's going to get an opportunity, it'll be Shea Lacey in AFCON this season. JJ Gabriel's opportunities will come next season. I think if we get back in the Europa League and we play some team, I think that's where we'll see JJ Gabriel make a debut off the bench if we're hopefully 3-0 at half time. I agree. Have to sort the midfield with long-term options next summer. Yeah. If you can get one midfield signing like Santos in January, and then in the summer you go for Elliot Anderson, bish bash bosh, and then in the summer you can look at left wing backs, and then in the summer you might look at centre backs for depth. So yeah, I think to get midfield sorted would be great. In regards to midfield as well, we are also looking at Angelo Stiller, and I do want to get into the stories on that. Yeah, JJ's 15. Also, people forget that JJ Gabriel turned 15 less than 2 weeks ago. Like, if JJ Gabriel was 19, I'd understand people wanting to see him get his opportunity and get his debut. JJ Gabriel turned 15 less than 2 weeks ago. He was 14 a month ago. Like, for me, JJ Gabriel was one of those where next year we might see him at 16. It's very rare players make debuts at 15. 16 is also very rare, but players do make debuts at 16. A lot of them make the debuts at 18, 19, sometimes 17. I think he'll make his debut at late 15, 16. I think he'll make his debut next year, but he's one of those as well where Shea Lacey's a couple years older. Shea Lacey's the one I'm interested on in terms of his debuts. Too early for that. Will Diego Leon be used during AFCON? I hope so. I don't know. I mean, Dorgo hasn't been great. Delo has been... he's not a wing-back. Maybe there's an opportunity there for Diego Leon. He has been involved in first-team training as well. We don't want 15-year-olds necessarily playing with Wayne Rooney's energy. Yeah, I mean, look, I think JJ Gabriel is insane for his age, but there's no point rushing him in. But if he comes with some Wayne Rooney energy, we'd love that. Wayne Rooney on his Champions League debut, man. Like, mate, he's just ridiculous. Ridiculous player. But yeah, let's talk about other names on United's list. Angelo Stiller is one of the names on Manchester United's list, and he's been monitored for years. Jason Wilcock's also understood to be one of the influential figures around Europe that's monitored Stiller more over recent years. Angelo Stiller is emerging more and more as a target, from Florian Plettenberg to Fabrizio Romano. Angelo Stiller is emerging more and more as a Man United target. We actually first got linked to him in the summer by Ben Jacobs. Stiller was a player that we've spoken about for a year on this channel and only really got first linked to him a couple of months ago. And Stiller is so good on the ball, so technically talented on the ball. There is concerns of would he be able to do it in the Premier League with a different level of physicality. We look at Florian Wirtz struggling, of course. But Angelo Stiller is a player that is being monitored by United, that is heavily liked by United, and it's on Jason Wilcock's list. And, I could see United potentially making a move. He's got a £38 million release clause, and United are seeing that as a potential really good deal. We look at Xerxes, he had that fantastic season with Bologna, £34 million release clause. United went and snapped that up. You look at Stiller, sorry, about to yawn. You look at Angelo Stiller, 30-something million release clause, been really good at Stuttgart for 3 seasons, got that Subamendes passing range in him. United might go, okay, let's go and swoop this up while we can, while there's a good opportunity to swoop it up. And I think United have had a long-term interest in Angelo Stiller. But yeah, I think that was a very good price for Stiller. He could be the player Wirtz wishes he was. Well, he's a defensive-minded player, but he's good on the ball. There's always that concern with Bundesliga. The thing is with the Bundesliga, we've seen Voltemada looks absolutely sick. Ekatike looks banging as well. Haaland is a monster, but then you get Florian Wirtz, who just looks meh. And then there's Timo Werner, that's looked meh. And Havertz has been hit and miss. That's the thing with Bundesliga. Going back to JJ Gabriel, Alex makes a good point here. Main thing, just need to secure JJ long term, has that next window at age 16 where he can potentially leave. Very true. And I think that's why United will look at giving him his first team opportunities next season, maybe to convince him to sign a new deal. Could not believe some people were saying Stiller it was not big enough for the EPL. Stiller could be a very good player in the Premier League, like Paul Scholes. Not comparing him to Paul Scholes, but you know what I mean. Stiller could be a very good player. But there is concerns of a lack of physicality. I think if you have Stiller and you have Elliot Anderson, it's very safe. For me, I want one big Premier League proven midfielder, whether that's Wharton, whether that's Baleba, whether that's Elliot Anderson. I want one big Premier League proven midfielder, and then an Angelo Stiller I'm happy with. because I think Angelo Stiller has got really good ability on the ball. And what I will say about Man United is I'm happy at the players we're looking at. I'm happy at our targets, the players that we seem to be targeting, the players that we seem to be looking at. I'm quite happy with that. If I was going to be totally honest. What on earth is this? In one sec, I've just been sent something. Weird. Anyway, continuing on. Man United got Forest tomorrow, 3 p.m. Man United should go win at Forest and is there for the taking. Yeah, they got new manager bounce, Forest, but they're there for the taking. I am a bit nervous about Forest. New manager bounce, didn't beat them last season. Do you know what I will say is Amorim has obviously changed his tactical approach to a more long ball approach these last 3 games. I don't think that's going to work versus Forest. I don't think that that's going to work versus Forest. Because you look at the way Forest play, you look at the way the Forest are built, you look at the way that Sean Dyche will want to play, I think we've got to go with a different tactical approach versus Forest. I don't think long ball is the tactical approach that's going to do very well versus Forest. So, for me, that is my only concern of I wouldn't try long ball versus Forest. We've been doing long ball the last 3 games. We've been executing it better. Now we have Le Mans and goal and we have Sesko up top than when we tried to do long ball last season. But I think we need to be able to outplay Forest by dominating possession. Now, the first 6 games of the season, we dominated possession, but we only beat Burnley and Chelsea had 10 men. The last 3 games, we've won all 3, but we've not dominated possession. We've had an average possession of 41%. Our average possession in the first 6 games compared to the last 3 games is a 20% difference because we've been playing very different the last 3 games. So I think that if we go to Forest looking to play long ball with 40% possession, I don't think that's the approach for Forest. I get why we did it versus Liverpool. I get why we did it versus Brighton, and I get why we did it versus Sunderland. But I'm intrigued to see how Amorim tactically approaches this Forest game, because this isn't a game. This is a game where I think we need to dominate possession in. And I know we've won 3 games, and the last 3 games we've had 20% less possession than normal, and we've won them. But I do think that this is a game where we expect to dominate possession. Tonali and Barella suit United. I would take Tonali in a heartbeat, but he's just signed a new contract in Newcastle. If I could dream, Tonali and Gravenberch would be our duo. Tonali and Gravenberch or Tonali and Caicedo would be our midfield duo if I could dream, but I can't. None of them are going near Man United. I think Amorim's going to go a false 9 instead of an outright striker for this game. I think so, but then I also look at how good Forest centre-backs are in the air, but Sesko can outjump them. I think he might go Sesko for height. I think he's going to go with the same lineup he did versus Brighton, but I think he's going to look to dominate possession. I just don't know how you can go to Forest and hope to have 40% possession. That's what I think. Bear with me. Well, what did we have? I'm just going to see who's out. Could Leacher play? I don't think Leacher will play. Morton from Sporting CP suits us perfectly. I'm just not fully convinced by him. I'm not going to lie. If Casemiro gets suspended or injured, that will hamper United's chance of a top 6 finish. Do you know who the 2 most important people are for us right now? Casemiro and Amad and Mbeumo on the right. Amad and Mbeumo on the right is giving us this different level of attacking threat we didn't have last season, hence why we're scoring more goals. But Casemiro is giving us stability in the middle of the park. If something happens to Casemiro, we lose that stability in the middle of the park. And when we lose Amad and Mbeumo, we lose the attacking threat and we look like last season in attack. So they're the 3 most important players to me, Mbeumo, Casemiro, and Amad right now to our success. Forest will counter-attack away, like the away team. They will. So Man United are going to dominate possession this game, and it'll be interesting to see how we do. It's a good test. We'll likely need a different approach. Yeah, I think we were going to have a different approach versus Forest, and I think it'll be interesting to see that approach. I think we will beat Forest, and I hope we beat Forest, make it 4 wins in a row, get this guy closer to a haircut as well. But I don't think it's going to be easy. I think that, some people think this could be an easy game. I think this is new manager bounce. This is a team that's very physical. This is a team that will know how to play against us. This is Sean Dyche. I'm concerned. I know Amorim beat Sean Dyche 4-0 last season, But I'm concerned. I want to talk about Seni Lamons. I want to talk about a few other news stories. So let's dive into it. Semi Lamons on the biggest difference he's faced as a Premier League goalkeeper. He said, set pieces. I've never seen players get away with mistakes. They commit against the things they do on a goalkeeper. This is the nature of the Premier League and you have to adapt to it and train for it, but it's a bad thing for any keeper. Lamons is coming in and basically saying goalkeepers in the Premier League don't get the protection they get in other leagues, which is true. On a corner, people can push you, play with you, muck about with you, and you need to be strong. There was times where I felt that Bayendir was fouled or Onana was fouled when they had a silly moment, but at the end of the day, VAR doesn't rule it out as a foul, and the opposition score a goal. In the Premier League as a goalkeeper, you've got to be strong. You've got to be strong. And that's one thing I will continually mention. In the Premier League as a goalkeeper, you literally have got to be, and you literally have to be really strong, because players will be there looking to push you off the ball, looking to do this, looking to do that, and you've got to be able to deal with that. And Seni Lamons is just saying it's about adjusting because the goalkeepers don't get much protection. If we concede a goal because the goalkeeper's fouled and VAR doesn't give it, we go and blame the goalie saying he's got to do better. But actually, a lot of the time, the goalkeepers don't get much protection. You could argue Bayendir was fouled in the first game of the season versus Arsenal. Continuing on into our next story, it was said the expectation of all parties involved is that Napoli are going to trigger the 44 million buy clause for Højlund in the next month very soon, which is £38 million. There is a feeling inside United that in the next month we should get £38 million. And all I'm saying is if we get £38 million for Højlund in the next month, we go into January looking at Andrey Santos, putting our Højlund money on the table and seeing if we can convince Chelsea into selling Andrey Santos. Manchester United are expected to save 14 million a year in wages for Rashford and get 26 million and make about 40 million on Rashford. Manchester United are also expected to make about 38 million on Rasmus if all goes to plans, which would be 78 million in total, which goes on our midfield rebuild. Sell him out and get Iliman Ndiaye, Everton player. Iliman Ndiaye is mint. Iliman Ndiaye can play left 10 and he's absolutely mint, but we've got Cunha in that. As much as I like Iliman Ndiaye, I would want someone that could play left wing back and left 10. I think Semenyo has the ability to play left wing back and left 10, whereas Iliman Ndiaye would only play left 10 or more centrally. As good as Iliman Ndiaye is, I would swap Mount for Iliman Ndiaye. I'm not going to lie, I would swap Mount for Iliman Ndiaye. But being realistic, I don't see us going for him in the summer. Problem with Olte is he would dive looking for a foul, and I agree. Olte was just too weak as well. He was just too weak. So if we sell Højlund, would that money go to Stiller? Well, that would cover the Stiller money, I guess. I think with the money we get from Højlund and the money we get from potentially Rashford and the wages saved on Casemiro, if you look at the wages saved on Casemiro, Højlund, Rashford, and then you combine Højlund and Rashford's transfer fees, that's over 100 million potentially coming in before the summer even kicks off. And that could cover Elliot Anderson, Carlos Baleba, Angelo Stiller. It could cover any one of those players. We do know that United like Elliot Anderson, but there is talk of this ridiculous, and I don't think anything will happen around it, but there is talk of this ridiculous 100 to 120 million price tag. I'm hoping Forest get relegated, and I'm hoping when Forest get relegated, Elliot Anderson goes back down to about £70 million, and I'll be all over that. Thank you very much. But United are looking at Elliot Anderson. We like him, but Mr. Marinakis is going to want to absolutely take the piss if he's to sell Elliot Anderson, especially as it looks like Anderson is going to go to the World Cup and is going to start for England. His price is only going to go up if he goes to the World Cup. In talking of recruitment, I want to talk about the 2 new recruitment rules that Ruben Amorim has implemented that I really like. One thing about Ruben Amorim that I've always praised him for is his recruitment. I think Ruben Amorim, and I think no matter how you feel about Ruben Amorim, whether you think he's the man for the job or not, I think one thing we can all agree on is Ruben Amorim has been very good at getting rid of the players he needs to get rid of, getting rid of the deadwood, forcing out the troublemakers, but also he's bringing in the right kind of players to Manchester United. For the most part, his recruitment is good. And Jason Wilcox in his interview sort of confirmed what United were looking at, which I really liked. Jason Wilcox confirms that United are going to invest further in the playing squad. So Wilcox himself is coming out saying we are going to invest more in the squad. He said, what we know we need to do, we know what we need to do. Jason Wilcox is saying we're going to invest more in the team. We know what we need to do. We know we've got to improve in these areas. And already we've been linked to 6 midfielders and 6 very good midfielders, bar Gallagher. Jason Wilcox knows what we need to do, and Man United are already doing the groundwork to sign midfielders in 2026. So that's a positive sign. He said we need to invest in the team and recruit the right players, talented players who can also handle the pressure and help the team progress. They have to have the right character and bring something different. Jason Wilcox and Amorim have 2 new rules when it comes to recruitment. Rule number 1 is they've got to be players that can handle the pressure of United, and they've also got to be players that can bring something different to the team. And I like that. Players that are going to bring something that we need, something that we're lacking. Stiller brings something that we need in central build-up. Andrey Santos brings the legs that we lack in midfield. Elliot Anderson brings a bit of both. Players that bring something that we're lacking, but also do have the mentality to play for United and handle the pressure. You know, are you someone that's going to crumble at the pressure at United like Anana, like Bain-Deer? Or are you going to come in like a Cunha and play absolutely fearlessly and, you know, like the pressure? When Cunha was asked about the pressure of playing for Manchester United, he went, what pressure? It's a privilege. It's a privilege to play for Manchester United. Do you know what I mean? And I like that. I like those 2 new rules that have been implemented by Manchester United when it comes to recruitment and what we need to do. United have a good team, but not a good balance. Yes, we can beat Arsenal. They're the new Stoke with set pieces and boring to watch. I think we have a good team, and I think our team is good enough to get Europa League football next season. And I think if Amorim does not get us in Europe next season, there has to be questions over him. Let's say Amorim makes progress. He finishes 9th this season. 15th to 9th is progress. I still think there should be questions on Amorim if we finish 9th, because I think that this team is good enough to finish in the top 6. I strongly believe we have a team with Cunha and Bumo Sesko that's good enough to finish in the top 6. And I think if we finish 9th, you will have to look at Amorim. And some people say, no, we can't look at Amorim if we finish 9th because that's progress. I want to see progress. And if we end the season really well and the football we're playing is amazing, then you can get away with 9th. But I still believe that this team is good enough to at least get Europa League football next season. I believe we have a good team. I think we do lack balance in midfield. I think we don't have the wing-backs that Amorim necessarily needs. But I do think we have a good team. I think we are good enough to finish high in the league. What's your version to Gallagher? We're not getting anyone for the money we will have in January, but we need a midfielder. He can be low risk stopgap. Well, he can't get into the Atletico Madrid side, and I'm not convinced he's better than Agate and Meno. We've got Casemiro and Bruno. If we bring in another midfielder, they've got to compete with Agate and Meno to be the third choice. I don't look at Gallagher and think, okay, he's going to do a better job than Agate and Meno if something happens to Casemiro and Bruno. So that's why I don't want Gallagher personally. 9th, not good enough, especially without Europe and 1 game a week. Pretty sure United will be in Europe next season. I think we have to be. I think our team is good enough. I think we could get 5th if we wanted, especially with 1 game a week. No European football's costing us. I mean, it's costing us in the sense of we can't give Xerxes and Meno the minutes, but I think it's helping us in the league. Bit of drama between Meno and Gallagher during the World Cup. It wasn't really drama, but Meno was so much better when he came in for Gallagher, which is another reason why I wouldn't want to bring in Gallagher, because we know that Meno was better. So, you know, there's sort of those factors as well. Really believe in Meno, but the reality is we need bodies, and Gallagher on loan is a no-brainer, surely. I mean, look, Gallagher is someone that can run loads, have a body in midfield's good, but if we can't give Agate and Meno the minutes, do we need the bodies? Do you know what I mean? If we get an injury to Casemiro, it's different. But if we don't get any injuries and we're not giving Agate and Meno a lot of minutes because we've got 1 game a week, I don't think we need the body of Gallagher, if I was going to be completely honest. Last but not least, I do want to get into this final story here that I saw shared by MUFC MPB, that United are considering a January move for 19-year-old forward Rayan. I'm not going to act like I know anything about this player. But look, he's a young player that is highly rated, that has been linked to Manchester United. Could I tell you anything about Rayan? No, not really watched him, but he's a Brazilian talent. People like him and people think he's good and he's physically good. He's got a market value of 18 million euros already. Got 11 goals in the Brazilian league this season at 19 years of age. So, look, I haven't watched any of the Brazilian league this year. I watched a little bit of it last year. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one, but I'm not sure. Alice, what do you think of Aiden Heaven? Big fan of Aiden Heaven. Would like to see him get more opportunities soon. But Leach is coming back, so it might be harder. But listen, people, I want to round up today's show here. Just wanted to do a half-an-hour show, talking about all the latest Manchester United news, sharing my thoughts, getting your guys' opinion on everything. But yeah, I will be back tonight with a 10-minute roundup video, and we will be back with a match reaction tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Go and give Never a Foul raise. Go over to Never a Foul now. See you next time. Bye.